Good evening. I'd like to call the City of North Augusta City Council meeting for November the 17th, 2025 to order. It's good to see everybody. Thank you all for being here. Nice turnout tonight. Good stuff. You are welcome to join me in prayer. Dear God, as we near Thanksgiving, we pause to thank you for all of our blessings, for health, friendship, and a feeling of community. We live in an amazing town with citizens who love North Augusta. We ask for you to continue to give this council discernment as we make decisions for this community. Amen. If you're able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, roll call from my left.
John Felak, Robert Freitas,
Pat Carpenter.
Britton Williams.
Kevin Toole,
David Buck.
Dennis Briatico.
Item 4, approval of minutes. Are there any corrections, deletions, or additions to the regular city council meeting minutes of November the 3rd, 2025, or the study session minutes of November the 10th, 2025? Okay, hearing none, they stand approved as distributed. Thank you. Okay, we have got 3 proclamations tonight. So I'm going to ask, first of all, Miss Kathleen Sherrill, if she would meet me in front of the dais. Is she here? There she is. How are you? Good to see you again. You been doing okay? All right, good. So I'm gonna let you, after I read a proclamation, I want you to kind of tell about who you are and why who you represent. Okay. This is a tough one. We do this each year. But anyway, this is a proclamation about World Pancreatic Cancer Day. Whereas in 2025, an estimated 67,440 people will be diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in the United States, and 51,980 will die from the disease. And whereas pancreatic cancer is one of the deadliest cancers, is currently the 3rd leading cause of cancer death in the United States, and is projected to become the 2nd leading cause around 2030. And whereas pancreatic cancer is the only major cancer with a 5-year relative survival rate at just 13%. And whereas when symptoms of pancreatic cancer present themselves, it is generally in later stages, and 90% of pancreatic cancer patients die within the first 5 years. And whereas approximately 820 deaths will occur in South Carolina in 2025, and whereas pancreatic cancer is the 7th most common cause of cancer-related deaths across the world, and whereas there was an estimated 510,992 pancreatic cancer cases diagnosed worldwide in 2022, and whereas the good health and well-being of the residents of the city of North Augusta are enhanced as a direct result of increased awareness about the symptoms and the risk of pancreatic cancer and research into early detection, causes, and effective treatments. Now, therefore, I, Britton S. Williams, Mayor of the great city of North Augusta, do hereby proclaim November the 20th, 2025, as World Pancreatic Cancer Day, witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of North Augusta, South Carolina to be affixed the 17th day of November. So I want to give this to you, and if you would, tell a little bit, why are you representing?
So as the mayor said, my name is Kathleen Sherrill, and I am a member of the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network in the South Carolina affiliate. And the reason I got involved was in 2022, a month after diagnosis, my mother passed away from pancreatic cancer. And so we are trying to spread awareness across the communities of South Carolina, and just trying to get that 13% up to 20% 5-year survival rate by 2030. And just knowing and sharing the symptoms to look for pancreatic cancer. That's one of the reasons that it has such a high fatality rate. The most of the symptoms, like back pain, stomach pain, nausea, is symptoms for other things as well. So, and there are no current pre-screening tests for pancreatic cancer. So I do appreciate you and the city council making this proclamation for the past 3 years.
Thank you very much. Let's give a round of applause. I don't see all these folks here. I'm going to ask Mr. J.R. Hancock. I know he's here. Come on down, sir. I don't see Donna Gentile. Is Donna? If I'm missing Donna. How about Curtis Stark? I've not met Curtis. Guess what? You holding the fort down. Yeah. I'm going to let you tell a little bit about, anyways, in a minute. So again, this is an important proclamation. So whereas small business form the backbone of our local economy, generating jobs and improving the quality of life for citizens, and whereas the mayor and city council of North Augusta, South Carolina acknowledge and celebrate the city's small businesses and the contributions they make to our community, and whereas 2025 marks the 16th year a Small Business Saturday, a nationwide campaign to encourage shopping at local businesses on Saturday after Thanksgiving to stimulate the local economy. And whereas local organizations such as the North Augusta Chamber of Commerce, the Downtown Merchants Alliance, and many other organizations across the country endorse the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday. Now, therefore, I, Britton S. Williams, Mayor of the City of North Augusta, South Carolina, do hereby claim November 29, 2025 as Small Business Saturday. And we encourage our citizens to recognize and support small businesses within our community by shopping locally on a Saturday following Thanksgiving. You know, we got a lot of council folks who are small businesses involved in small business, so it's a big deal. If you would, Ms. Hancock, I'm assuming you're representing the chamber. So why don't you tell folks a little bit about what your business is, and I want to hear why you feel like Saturday Thanksgiving, after Thanksgiving is such important.
Great. Well, my name is J.R. Hancock. I own Budget Blinds in North Augusta. So I'm also a member of the board for the chamber here in North Augusta. Small business is awesome. I mean, granted, the one-on-one for customer service is that thing that we need the most when you have big companies, So just a small example, Ace Hardware versus Home Depot and Lowe's. And Ace Hardware is a little more hands-on, small business. You need window coverings. It's me and you, my installers, So versus big company, I have an issue. Who do I call? So that's where small businesses come in. My buddy Robert Freitas, you want a great person to actually handle your financial affairs. It's a one-on-one versus a company, a huge company. So small business is where you want to go. That's where you want to spend your money, especially right after Thanksgiving, because, small businesses, we have mouths to feed, just like you do. So that'll be great with Christmas coming up and all the holidays. So we would love that little support from our local town, and just spend a little money with us locally. That'd be great.
Robert is one of the ones. I'm just kidding. No, I'll play with you. All right, let's get this right man a round of applause. Mr. Roy Kilmer, come on now, sir. All right, Arbor Day proclamation. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas a holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, lower our heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they're planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I, Britton S. Williams, Mayor of the City of North Augusta, South Carolina, do hereby proclaim December the 5th as Arbor Day in North Augusta, South Carolina. Urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant and care for trees to gladden the heart, promote the well-being of this and future generations. So I'm going to give this to you, sir. And Roy, if you would, why don't you, we got a lot of people here, and, we have a lot of people talk about nature and trees, right? Well, I would love to have all those people show up for Arbor Day. Okay, because we don't get quite the turnout that we read about on social media when we actually have Arbor Day. So this would be a good one. So tell about what we're doing this year with Arbor Day.
Uh, Thank you, Mayor. And would like to invite everybody to come and help celebrate Arbor Day, December 5th. We'll be holding our planting event at Living History Park on Lake Avenue, 1 p.m. We'll be planting, we've got 3 trees that we're going to be planting at Living History Park. One for, our Arbor Day celebration, where we'll go through and explain the process of the proper planting of a tree. And we're also going to plant a tree and memorialize Lynn Thompson as the curator of Living History Park, who passed away this year. So we want to do that, and we thought Arbor Day was a perfect day to do it, and at Living History Park. So we will have the trees there to give away as supplies last. Coal Creek has sponsored giving away some containerized trees. So come help celebrate with us, get a tree, and go home and plant it in your yard. Thank you.
The tree I got last year is still living. 1 o'clock. I think Roy does an incredible job for us and his crew. And what's neat about the Arbor Day is that his team will be there and they'll actually plan it while you're watching, and they'll talk about it. And it's amazing the care that y'all go through in just planting a tree and the importance. So it's a great educational time as well. So bring kids, grandkids. They can get dirty with their hands. So it's a great time. So Roy, thank you for all you do. Really appreciate it. Let's give him a round of applause. We are hopping along here. All right, we are now at old business. Item 6, planning and development. Ordinance number 2025-28 to change the corporate limits of the city of North Augusta by accepting the petition requesting annexation by the landowners and annexing plus or minus 67.45 acres of property located on Hammond Pond Road owned by William F. Hammond. And I believe you'll be recusing yourself? Okay. All right. You can stay up here. You just say anything. All right. So do I have a motion to approve this ordinance on second reading? Ms. Carpenter, is there a second?
Second.
That's Mr. Freitas. Thank you. All right. Anything you'd like to share about this, Ms. Clifford or Ms. Paradise?
Mr. Mayor, just as a refresher for city council members and for our citizens that are watching online and here in the room this evening, you have before you a request to annex in a little over 67 acres off Hammond Pond Road. And there's been some discussion, I believe, about the way that this is going to be zoned, the way that it may connect to other neighborhoods, and there's some other concerns out there. But I did want to lay out a few things, and Mr. Paradise, our planning director, is here to keep me straight. And if there's other specific questions you may have as a council, that he's prepared to answer as we go forward. But one is my understanding that the developer is planning on moving forward with developing that property, whether it's in the city limits or not. And ultimately, the city has a greater degree of control and building standards than county rules allow for. And so ultimately, if you are interested in the outcome of what's going to be in that land, which is going to be encompassed by the city of North Augusta, even if it's not annexed, that there is a benefit to having that in the city limits to be able to have a level of control that you would otherwise not have if it were in the county. Also, there's the public safety concern that if there is a donut hole, full donut hole neighborhood there in the county, then we're also going to have to coordinate with the sheriff's department, and likely our public safety officers are going to have to be first response to that area anyway. So they're not going to get the benefit of the tax benefit of those houses, but yet they're going to have to be responsible for mutual aid and first response in that neighborhood. So with all that, I will go ahead and turn it back to you, Mr. Mayor, and the dais. If there are specific questions about this action, Mr. Paradise and I are prepared to answer your questions.
Are there any questions for Ms. Clifford before I turn it over for public comments?
Well, it's not really a question, but, and maybe I don't need to say this now.
Well, we're gonna have council discussion.
Oh, all right,
Yes, but I want
scratch
to
my
lead in.
thought.
This is anything particular question you have from what you read that you want to ask Kim before we open up to citizens? We're good? Okay, so at this point is citizen comments. And what I would ask you to do, if you would, is raise your hand. I'll call you to come forward. I'll ask you to state your name and address for the record. I will give you 5 minutes. I would tell you, we want to hear information, the things that will help us in making a decision. If you hear 10 people say the same thing as you, I'm not going to tell you that you can't come down. We'll listen to you, but there's really not a need to do that. What we want is to hear your comment. And what I would tell for our council, this is not a two-way dialogue. They're going to make their comments to me. I will write those down. And when we get to the planning, our council discussion, then if there's something that you want to respond, that'll be the time that we will respond. Mrs. Centel, I've got your question here, so I will respond when we get to that point. Okay, thank you very much. So with that being said, I would like to open it up to anybody who would like to come down and talk to us. Yes, sir, come on down. Anybody sitting in the front row deserves to talk first.
I don't sit in the front row often.
If you just state your name and address for the record, sir.
My name's Will Kakis, 3129 Montpelier Drive, Augusta. I'm representing the property owner here. Just wanted to kind of get up here, talk a little bit about the plan and why we think it's a good fit for this property in the area. I think the first thing to note on this plan is we're doing 75-foot wide lots, which would make these lots 15,000 square feet. We're asking for a R14 zoning. So that's minimum of 14,000 square feet. So we're going 1,000 square feet above that. For comparison, a similar development in the immediate area, they're doing like 50 or 55-foot wide lots. So that's about 50% larger. With that, there comes additional expense, and there's some other challenges to this property, just by way of topo, ponds, creeks, whatnot. That math is really just going to culminate in a more expensive lot. And the more expensive the lot is, the more expensive the homes that go on that lot need to be. Although we have not chosen a builder, we've reached out to several local home builders, had strong interest. Either way, sewer or not, what they did indicate to us is they would probably be building a 3,500 square foot home and up. They say that'll start in the 550s. I think it'll be higher, but I'm not the home builder. So I think that's compatible with the surrounding neighborhoods. Certainly won't be anything that brings the neighborhood down. We have 22 acres of green space. That's over 30%. So we'll have quite a large amount of green space here. And I think that's about it. I appreciate y'all letting me speak with you tonight.
I'm Sharon Melton, and 14 Brookview Court, which is in the Rapids, which is in right close vicinity to the property that we're discussing tonight. And just let me begin by saying I'm not against the Hammond property being developed, assuming a lot of things. And I want to start off with Bluegrass because I grew up in North Augusta and Green Acres. And I have been taking care of my mom for the past 5+ years and been absolutely oblivious as to what's been going on in North Augusta. But my heart's always been with animals. So after she passed away, I started coming to the meetings, and you've seen me down here more so than in my other years of life. And it was for the animal shelter. But I began to learn a few things along the way. And one day I woke up and I wrote down, I think I was going to Wendy's, and I saw bluegrass. And I was absolutely devastated. 50-something acres, Arbor Day, great topic to be discussing. Not one tree left on that property. I used to walk across that dirt road and go to the Bailey's house. Spend the night there, spend several nights there. They had 12 kids, and we go up to the ball field. None of that's there anymore. So when you tell me that we're going to be annexing 67.45 acres, approximately, and you tell me that 2 or 3 weeks ago that we have wastewater being availability issues already, and you don't tell me how you're going to promise me that the arbor situation / tree situation is going to be absolutely 180 degrees different than what we dealt with and what we allowed to do to God's creation in forestation. Just absolutely wipe out everything living, just so those slabs could be beside each other, and very inexpensively built. Then I have a problem. I also have a problem with the fact that in the Rapids, we have a network of people discussing. And I had Dylan Miller come on there and tell me that he had spoken with you. He'd spoken with some other council people about the Hammond property and how large the lots were going to be, and that I didn't need to worry about Seton Court being an excess, entrance or exit into the Rapids, because y'all had already talked about that. And I thought to myself, well, that's kind of strange, because tonight is the second reading. So how did that happen? So I don't feel like things are occurring or being approved, this is my personal opinion, as they should be, because more information needs to be given to everyone at the same time, as opposed to people that need to remove themselves from the discussion on the dais, or people in the neighborhoods, that are right next to it that don't know anything. I'm still a big proponent of Pretty Run Creek. Nobody's gotten back to me on that. I have to wait and for a second grant to be approved for Pretty Run Creek's health, to be addressed. So there's so many different things. So long story short, I think that we need to come up with some kind of overview document that can be submitted to all of the people in North Augusta and abided by the developer, and not changed by the developer, 2 or 3 years down the road if it takes that long for it to be approved. In other words, I don't think, I'm praying anyway, that whoever was sitting on the council at the time and the mayor at the time, they did not know that every tree in Bluegrass was going to be devastated and taken down when that development was approved. So I don't know how long it's going to take this development to be approved. I might want to move there myself. The lots might be flat, and that's what I need, as opposed to where I am right now in the Rapids. But there's got to be a way to hold everybody accountable. People on the dais, the developer, whether it's a timeline of a year, 18 months, 36 months, what have you. And also, the infrastructure needs to be in place prior to approval. And the Pretty Run Creeks of North Augusta, which is, I think it's the second largest. I was going to look this up before I came back the next time. I am talking about Pretty Run, though. But that is infrastructure, Mr. Mayor, and it needs to be discussed. You promise that's going to be discussed prior to approval? Because that's what's happened. That's what happened with Renfield. It wasn't discussed. And we have red, clay coming down. Okay, did you get them all down? Thank you.
Yes, sir. Come on down.
name's Dylan Miller, 7 Water Oak, North Augusta, South Carolina. And just to start, I don't appreciate you quoting me on incorrect information. I shared.
We're not, Dylan, we're not talking to any
All right, well,
citizens. You're talking to
okay.
me only. So don't,
Well,
it doesn't matter what you think.
To
Just,
clarify and to be transparent, what I provided in the Rapids neighborhood page was simply Robert Freitas made a post that everybody has seen. It's been on 2020. You've posted it, and it's very helpful. It had good information, open dialogue. That's what I shared and just said in regards to the conversations that are taking place. This is the information that a council person has put out, and I shared that. Never did I say, we've spoken and you've told me or promised me that this is going to take place or haven't. I have spoken with the mayor. I've spoken with multiple city council members. I've spoken with the developer, but nothing was ever said, hey, believe in me, this is the way it's going to be. So I just wanted to clear that because I don't appreciate somebody standing up and saying that I said something I didn't say. I feel like you guys did a great job of hitting on all the points in regards to everything. For the annexation, I feel like, you know, if the developer is going to move forward with the process, it's going to happen regardless. Why not annex it into the city limits to where at least in that way you can get tax money to where if a fire happens, if a shooting happens or something like that, the first responders aren't going to respond knowing that we're not getting any tax money from it and we're having to spend resources to do that. That just doesn't make a lot of sense. As for the property, green space, stuff like that, it does butt up to the rapids back there on Seton Circle. And I've actually parked there and started to walk that. It gets to a point you can't even walk it due to how many trees are down from Helene. So it's, yes, you can preserve green space and you can preserve trees and Arbor Day, all this kind of stuff. But I'd be interested if you actually looked at that 67 acres, how many trees are actually down that aren't even living that are toppled from Helene. So like I said, I think as long as you guys are, you know, looking at all things, whether it be traffic, you know, or anything like that, as long as you guys are doing that, then I feel like, you know, y'all will make the right decision. But ultimately for annexation, which is what we're talking about, I don't see why we wouldn't get that tax money. But that's all I have to say.
all right, very good. Thank you, Dylan. Who else we got? Yeah, well, you got something in addition you wanted to say? I'm going to read your statement. Now I'll read it. I was going to save you last. I didn't know who, because I've got you written so I can read yours. Anybody else before I read? It is Centel, right? Centel. All right. Mrs. Centel lives at 1005 Reams Road. How will traffic be handled at Hammond Pond Road and Marktown Road with new development? Very good question. Lower speed limit, you know, or blinking lights. There's a blind spot, turn left at this location. Is that correct? Okay. All right. So before we get into council discussion, are there any more citizen comments? Okay. All right. Council discussion. Let me just let me kind of respond to each of these, then we'll talk it out. So I think the main part in Ms. Intel is to let you, I think for everybody, because Ms. Sharon talked about this as well, is what everyone needs to understand is all we are doing is deciding are we going to annex the land or not, R14. So if that passes, then what's going to happen is there is a process where basically at that point is when the developer would have to present what's called a major site plan. And that's where all of the details about what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, is presented to our planning director, Tommy Paradise, and his staff. And that we literally have every department from storm water to engineering. They look at all these plans and they will mark them up and say, we have questions about this issue. And they send a developer and he has to respond. Oh, we like this thing. So that goes through a process. There's a traffic study analysis. All of that is done through our planning department. At that point, once the planning department gets a final preliminary site plan from the developer, they've answered all our questions and the planning department feels this is a doable thing, they will present it to the planning commission. The planning commission is the body that will approve the major site plan. Okay? Not this council. We are not the authority to approve the site plan details. It is going to be the planning commission. So questions about seat and court and connection, no, I don't think anyone on here can tell you that won't be a connection or whether there will be a connection. But that has nothing to do with our annexation. We are not talking about the connection piece. That's going to come out through the major site plan analysis with our planning department and that. You mentioned wastewater capacity. Two different things. Don't cross these up. The question I asked at the last study session in this meeting was we have plenty of, so the issue with wastewater capacity is a different issue than what we're talking about with this development. There is no issue with wastewater capacity on this development, okay? So what you've been hearing about and reading about has to do with brand new projects that are thousands of acres. We're not at that point. We're gonna have a study session in December about that probably, but there's no wastewater capacity issue with this property. The tree situation is called clear cutting. It has been an issue for this city going back to Joanne Mackey and Larry Watts being on the planning commission. There's never been an ordinance that we can't clear cut. We have reworded the city code many times, and every time there's never been a conversation from anyone caring about that. So there's not an ordinance about we can or cannot clear cut. That's what the developer is going to do, but we do require replanning. Let's see. So I think I've answered those. And then with that being said, I'll turn over discussion from council.
All right.
And what I'm going to ask council to do as we talk, before we do vote, I do want us to go down this line here, and I want like everyone to state why you're going to vote yes or no. Citizens deserve to know. I don't want just to hear a vote yes or no. You need to be able to explain this is an important vote. Citizens need to know why you are voting the way you're going to vote.
Do you need to do that now?
No, just I'm open for council discussions.
Okay.
So you were asked something earlier.
Well, no, you answered you told everything I had concerned about, and but I have heard some things that we go out and ask people to be annexed in the city. We do not. Anybody that wants to be annexed comes to, I guess, planning commission first and then us. So that is a story.
Councilman, we have not forcibly annexed anybody, at least not since this current council has been seated, and certainly not in my tenure here as your administrator.
Right,
So we've only had
I don't
annex
remember that happening,
applications.
no. Okay, all right. And then, let me see. Of course, as you talking about the clear cut and the mass grading, I do think, and I maybe address this to Jim and Mayor, that we maybe need to talk to or let the planning commission take that and I know it's not in there now, but is that something we need to? Because I am like Sharon, when I ride by Bluegrass, it does give you the willies seeing nothing there, but I would just like to suggest to maybe we do need to look at that in the future. Okay, all right, and can I go ahead and say the way I'm gonna vote?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. And I am going to vote yes to this. And the young man up there in the corner, I did not get his name, but I do agree with everything he said too. They're going to build regardless of city or county. So why not let's have it in the city? And that way we can monitor things that are happening and know what's going on versus if it stays in the county, we have no say. Okay, so I will vote yes for this tonight. Thank you.
I'll go next. I support the project. I look at, some of my concerns with some of the other past issues we've had about impact fees and the cost of developers having to make smaller lots to make the project better. I think the fact that this is an R14 and even 15,000 square feet on a house, to me, is a tremendous asset. I think it will be a beautiful community that a lot of people would definitely want to live in. I think it would be a great addition to North Augusta. It is in a hole, and we've talked about that donut hole process in which city property completely surrounds it. I echo Councilman Carpenter's comments that I think it is better off to have our community set those standards as well. We've got a great planning commission. We've got a great community. And the clear-cut option too, I think in my experiences with construction, you almost have to clear cut because trees aren't always where you want them when you plan a community. We have had an instance, I think, at the amphitheater where we saved a big tree down there, and we did that on purpose, but I believe the tree got disease and we had to take it down anyway. So when you start putting roads in and pipes in and curbing and underground things, roots are taken out. And if you try to save a big tree, sometimes the roots are gone and the tree is going to end up causing you more problems in the long run. And then you can Mayor made a comment at the last meeting about the beauty of the color changing in the city. And I started to take notice of that. And there's really an awful lot of beautiful color in the community. And when you can go back into to a neighborhood and proactively get trees in there that would provide that kind of color, I think it just makes North Augusta a much more beautiful place. So I plan to vote for the annexation as well.
Going around this way.
Yeah, so I am in support of the community. A lot of what everybody else has said, it just doesn't make sense to provide city services and not receive the tax dollars for that. I think this neighborhood, given the lot sizes and the topography around the pond and everything, I think it's a home run. It's what people have been asking for, right? Not these tiny little lots with track built homes on it. And I think this is going to be just maybe one of the crown jewels of North Augusta. So I'm a yes.
Vote.
Yep, I'll chime in. I'm voting no for several reasons. One reason is trying to come out of Hammond Pond. I live not far from there. I live off Curtis Drive, so I'm there several times a day. But I've been going in and out several times a day at different times, and over the years, we know because they have that white building right there, it's tough to get out anyway. But that's one reason. Not saying this annexation has nothing to do with the development. That's not what we're voting on. We're voting for the annexation, not the development. So that's one thing that just concerns me in general. Number two is possibility of connectivity to other neighborhoods. I know that's not in front of us right now, and that could be possible down the road. It may not be. We don't know at this point. We're just voting on the annexation for that property to come into the city. We get a lot about growth, trying to slow things down. That's why we put in impact fees. That's why we put a moratorium on apartments. I just feel like, not saying that this is going to slow any development down, but maybe it could help the developer maybe rethink some things. I do think I like the R14. I'm in real estate, so I'm well versed. I don't know if we can sustain homes $550,000 or higher in that area. Just being honest. But it could be. I don't know. I don't know what that looks like. But like I said, that's not what we're voting on. We're voting on the annexation. So to me, there's too many unknowns for me going forward with this potential development to vote yes on annexation. So that's why I'm voting no.
Thank you. Ms. Bradica?
So I actually took my time and wrote my thoughts out for this because at least one city leader has referred to me as a prolific writer, so I will be brief, but I've got this. Mayor and council, on this day we proclaimed Arbor Day. I want to begin by acknowledging that I truly believe that this developer and the landowner have North Augusta's best interest at heart. Likewise, I have confidence that this council, with the leadership and experience we have, will approve this development, as we have many before us. I understand the rights of the landowner and the developer, and I do not question their intentions. I don't want you guys to think my reason for voting against this goes above my head. However, as elected leaders, we are the voice of the citizens. One of our most repeated concerns I heard during my campaign was overdevelopment, the overcrowding of our city, and the rapid loss of green space. As a resident, I have personally witnessed how much wildlife we've lost. squirrels, and songbirds, and I've noticed new wildlife coming into our neighborhoods. Just recently, a baby deer took shelter in a vacant lot between my home and my neighbors. We live very close to the city center. And when we used to live along the Greenway, this was a common occurrence. But now it's happening in places that we have never seen it happen before, and it's happening more often. It is our duty as city leaders to protect what remains of our green spaces and to balance development with conservation. That means using tools like comprehensive planning, zoning ordinance, and development requirements to preserve open space, improve infrastructure, and maintain the quality of life for our community. Given the widespread concern amongst our residents, my conscience will not allow me to support further development until we complete a comprehensive review of our remaining green space and natural resources, a review of our development code to ensure it protects what North Augustans hold dear at this very moment, a thorough evaluation of our infrastructure capacity, especially those that are getting close to their limits. Because like a credit card, we need a buffer. We should not be pushing our infrastructure to its breaking point. Allow me to be crystal clear. I think clear cutting and mass grading should be prohibited for residential development, including the proposed annexation going forward. We don't have to clear every tree and displace every animal to grow responsibly. My perspective may make me an outlier, but I take comfort in knowing that with at-large elections, those outliers and complainers are part of what keeps this city council grounded in public interest. I hope my fellow council members will listen with open hearts and open minds. I believe it's time to refine our development process and insist on protections that future generations will thank us for. When it comes to saving a little of North Augusta I grew up in for future generations, the buck stops right here. And I want to point out that Mount Pleasant, the town of Central, Lexington County, and the now infamous Lake Wylie have done everything they could to slow down development because it's what their citizens want. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good. Mrs. Centel, because in case I did not, I tried to respond by the process, but how will traffic be handled at Hammond Pond Road? That, as far as that will be the entrance, I mean, that's the only entrance there is right now. Okay, so that's not going to change. But again, just to let folks know, talking about the connection piece, Leland Place, Brook Green, the Rapids, there's not many subdivisions on a road like Martintown that doesn't have a one-way entrance. So this is not like this would be, the Hammond Pond's going to be the first development that's ever happened. The Rapids has one way in and out. Brook Green has one way in and out. Leland Place has one way. So I just want to let folks know on that. So as far as blinking lights, speed limits, sir, that will all come out with the traffic analysis when we do the site plan or planning department. So that at this point, what I would tell you is, and I think this is important, because y'all, I want to thank y'all because people are caring. That's great. So what I would urge you to do is everything we're doing is a lengthy process. So what people would be very helpful is we live stream our planning commission meeting. The planning commission is always the second time is the third Wednesday of every month. So I would tell you that is a great opportunity if you care about a lot of things, because they have a very vital role. They make a lot of decisions or recommendations to us. So, for me, I mean, I appreciate everyone's concerns, all valid. That's why we're doing it. I will be voting yes for the reasons that have been expressed for the favor, for the positive. I do think it's good for the community. And so without any other discussion, I'm going to ask for a vote. All in favor? That is 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 against. So you got that, Jamie? 4 for 2. Okay, very good. All right. You can come back to the big table now. Okay. Item 7. Administration ordinance number 2025-29, authorizing the city of North Augusta to grant a non-exclusive franchise agreement with Loomis Fiber South Carolina LLC. Do I have a motion to approve this ordinance on second reading?
So moved.
That is
Seconded.
Mr. Buck. Thank you, Mr. Briatico. And anything you'd like to share about this, Ms. Clifford?
Really no changes for this, Mr. Mayor. Just this is an agreement that will allow Lumos Fiber to come in and provide additional options for our city residents where they're able to lay fiber. So again, if you subscribe to the theory of more companies leads to better competition, lower prices, that this would be a good add to the city for our citizens. This has already had a successful first reading, so I turn it back to you for action this evening.
Very good. Any questions for Ms. Clifford from council? All right, are there any citizen comments? All right, any council discussion? All right, here now, I'm going to ask for a vote. All in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you very much. All right, we're at item 8. Do you have a resolution number 2025-37 authorizing funding allocation recommendations of the Accommodations Tax Advisory Committee for the disbursement of revenues from the accommodations tax year 2024 to 2025. Do you have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
All right, Mr. Toole, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Phelat, appreciate it. Anything you'd like to share about this, Ms. Clifford or Mr. McCauley?
Mr. Mayor, just as we discussed in the study session, you had a number of organizations, I believe 16 in total, that requested funds, 15 of which have been granted funds. The good news is our accommodations tax is increasing year over year, so there's more opportunities for organizations to compete for this funding. And also, as a reminder for our citizens, there is state law that lays out the process for which accommodations tax is distributed. So you cannot use accommodations tax, for example, to buy fire trucks. You have to use them for very specific purposes, which is laid out in statute. And so we follow those processes. You, as the city council, appoint a advisory committee for accommodations tax, and their recommendations are included in your packet for disbursement.
Very good. Are there any citizen comments? Any council discussion?
Yeah. Go ahead, Pat.
Either one.
Yeah, I would like to say I've been on that committee since it formed, and the growth of the accommodation tax process has been extremely encouraging for us. The amount of good work I think that we've done, the kinds of things that we've brought to North Augusta and promoting North Augusta has been phenomenal. So early on, there were times when we didn't really have enough requests for the money. And it was difficult to turn people down because we didn't have as many requests as we did. This year, as you can see, we could only do about 50% of the things. I thought the Accommodation Tax Committee did a really, really good job. So I find this extremely encouraging.
My question on the amounts, do we know, when they put their application in, do we know what they're going to do with it? I mean, let's say
That's part of their application, Councilman, is they lay out what their intention is for the funding.
I'm sorry, say it again.
They lay out what their intention is for the funding.
So you know what when they
That's
say,
part of the application process, but I would defer to Mr. or Councilman Phelat if he had any experience he'd like to lay
Yeah, I would
firsthand.
say these are grants that are reimbursements, so the organizations have to make the expenditures and then submit the proper receipts in order to get reimbursed for them. So if they're non-conforming, if they say I'm going to do A and they do B and B is non-conforming, they would not get reimbursed for those amounts.
all right, and now on the number 5, North Augusta Forward, then dash Friends of the Greenway. I thought those were two different organizations.
Frogs
I
is
mean,
part
Friends
of,
of the Greenway, though, have been going for years.
yeah,
That's
it's
nothing.
under North Augusta Forward.
I did
North
not know
Augusta
that.
2000.
I must have missed that.
Yeah.
Councilman, I think that North Augusta Forward acts as the fiscal agent for Friends of the Greenway.
And I know you might think I'm bad, but why are theirs so much more, maybe John, than everybody else? North Augusta Forward.
Well, without reviewing their proposal, I wouldn't know. It would be, those details would be in the proposal that they made. And I would assume
We
that they were.
see a list of what each organization is going to do. Can we get that?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Councilwoman, that the advisory committee themselves review each of those prior to interviewing them individually, and they do request if they are able to meet, because it's a 50-50 grant, to make sure that they're able to meet those, the 50-50 match prior to. However, with the amount of monies, they also want to make sure they spread it across.
Well, we have,
qualified.
again, yeah, we form, so as a council, where we come in is we appoint these people.
Yeah.
So again, it would not make sense for us to appoint a diversified group of people to make these decisions, and then try to do their job for them unless this is something that's out of the whack, is what I'm saying.
Well, the only thing I say, and I know we did appoint them when you that started when you came, right, Mayor?
No.
Well, it wasn't, it was
It's already been
already here.
appointed.
All right. But I do know when it comes to the bottom line, the council's held responsible and accountable to everything that's happened.
Absolutely.
And so, like I said, I worry about some of this stuff, and I shouldn't bring this up, but I am. He knows what I'm gonna bring up. Our little new crosswalk at Pine Grove and North Augusta, West Avenue. Sorry, I hate it. And a citizen that lived there today called me and said that looked like Domino's Pizza or something out there. And she could not be here. She was coming, but ended up. So that's what I said. There's things, I guess we all have different taste, and I guess that's a blessing. But like I said, I know who's going to be held accountable at the end.
Well, I guess I look at every organization on here, and every organization on here is making a positive impact in our community. So, I don't see an organization in here, Pat, or any of their goals that would, what would concern me? First Providence Foundation, I'm excited about the Hamburg, Old Town Preservation, the Wrecking Crew, North Coast Forward is helping with our baskets, the park benches, Arts and Heritage Center. So I guess I just don't, to me, these all look like really good. These are all reputable organizations that are, I don't know.
I'm just sort of expressing my opinion.
No, you're allowed to.
That I just want to be sure with North Augusta Forward getting so much, and I would like to know what they're doing with downtown.
Well,
I know we put up the trash cans and the benches.
Again, I think part of it on some of these there's a flexibility of what that looks like, because they can't make a grant for something specifically to say, we want to do that and do that, because so much of downtown has to do approval through us.
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't do them any good to say, we want to do this project, and that project is not doable because they need a right-of-way or they need a whatever. So there is, on all of these, the 150th Hamburg Massacre commemoration, okay? Is that going to be, what I'm saying is that's not, I think that your point, if we would like, and I think we did this one year, Jamie, I think if we want to get, prior to this, if we want to get a copy of the application, I think that's great. We did that one year. I think a couple years ago. So I think getting that prior to us, so if there are specific questions, I think we can do that. The dais thing, I think that's a fine idea. Can you just make it going forward? Let's do that. Yeah, because we have done that, right, John? Even before you got on council, there were times where I remember we did get y'all put a packet of all the applications that we could write. Am I right on that? Yeah. So we can do that again.
They are readily available. It's a lot of information.
Yeah,
I think you get a lot for a council meeting.
But I think to Pat's point, we are the entity that's we're investing $284,000 taxpayers' accommodation tax dollars. So I do think, your point, Pat, it would be good just if we start micromanaging what they're doing, there's no need to have a committee. But I think if, for us to understand better before we vote on it next time, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I think we do need to know, and when you're elected, you have really got to be held accountable, no matter what happens. It comes back to us. But when you're appointed, that's another thing, you can walk away from it. And just like with, is Tabitha here? All right, and I will just say, but just like what they're doing, they're reporting back to all of us. And so we sort of know, even though they're their own little groove, they still reporting and sort of letting us know, because to me, there's nothing worse than we are leaders in this community, and somebody walk up and ask us something, and we have no clue.
You know,
No clue.
And again, the question I would say, Pat, I guess we could, if we want to, we could put that in the application to say that at some point, you know, we would want Old Town Preservation to, or First Providence to give an update. Yeah, I mean, or say, hey, you know, North Augusta Chamber of Commerce. I mean, once the North Augusta Chamber of Commerce gets the business directing and lifestyle guide out, why, it wouldn't hurt for them to come, you know, Tara to come up here and say, hey, here's what it looks like, you know? So those are all proactive things we can do. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
And just to quickly clarify, is the tax dollars that are generated through the accommodations tax are not property taxes. They are accommodation taxes that are paid to hotels that whoever pays for the hotel room also pays an accommodations tax. So when you stay at a hotel room for $100, the tax on the room stay is 12%. So they pay $112. So all of those accommodation tax monies were done from hotel stays. Huge majority of it from out of town. Not everybody, because some people will stay at a hotel when they live in the community. That happens a lot as well. But those are not property tax dollars. Those are hotel tax dollars.
Any other council discussion?
Still, the citizens tax it.
No big deal. I mean, you got valid things. All right. So, any other council discussion? All right. Hearing none, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor? Oh, Miss Pat, you're killing me. I love you too. All right. So, guess what? We're actually at administrative reports. Ms. Clifford, administrative reports. You got any?
I really only have one, Mr. Mayor, and so I did want to report that our Public Works Department shall be starting within the next week on some of the repairs to the Walnut Boardwalk up in the Walnut Lane neighborhoods, and we anticipate we should have substantial completion of that work by the end of the calendar year. I know that's been of interest to a number of our citizens that live north around Exit 5. We were able to get all the FEMA documentation we needed to have for, floodplain remediation and for the work that needed to get done there. So that was a much more in-depth process, and that's why that work was taking longer to get started. But we've now received all of our approvals. We have a number of the materials in hand, and so our Public Works Department will begin working that in conjunction with the Parks and Rec here in the next week or so. So our Public Works Director assured me that he feels that the end of the calendar year is a realistic goal to have substantial completion. So I just wanted to pass that to the council.
End of this calendar.
That's correct.
Wow, that's great. We're all with that. Okay, so you're good on that end? All right, so we're at item 10. So this is presentation, communication, and recognition of visitors. This is where, as a citizen, you can come forward, raise your hand, state your name and address. This is if you want to share comments about anything not on the agenda. Okay, if it's on the agenda, we've already gone through it, so this is anything not on the agenda. So I know one lady's told me that she's coming, so I'm going to ask you, Tabitha, come on up if you'd like to.
Yeah, I'm Tabitha Waldrop. I live at 193 Village Parkway, and I'm part of the Animal Shelter Coalition. We don't have an official name yet, so we're just going with something like that right now.
It's a good name. I like it.
But we'll have an update, and we'll have some requests, and no action necessarily tonight, but just wanted to bring it forward and update anybody that might be watching the stream or present. First of all, we have a draft charter with a mission statement. and I'm going to read the draft mission statement. It is to design, identify funding solutions, and establish a modern animal shelter serving the citizens and animals of North Augusta through transparent collaboration, responsible financial management, humane practices, and strong community partnerships. In addition, the mission includes working with the City of North Augusta and North Augusta Public Safety to improve the existing shelter standards and conditions to close current care and facility gaps, making it more humane and consistent with ASPCA standards while planning, securing funding, and establishing a new permanent shelter. That's a draft.
All right.
We
good.
haven't voted 100% on it
Well-
yet, put our signature on it, but
Okay.
this is our draft charter, and we'll eventually put our signature on this. It's got the mission, purpose, objectives, membership, governance, decision-making, all the things that go into a project charter or an effort charter. But we do have some requests that are going to be forthcoming pretty soon from the group. First of all, I know, Mayor Williams, you mentioned in an update last week that we're going to be operating kind of under an advisement type of situation where we're pulling advisors. So we're not growing our group, but we're extending it to advisors from the community to come in on specific things that we might need specific information and support for. So look out for more of that, and we might need to reach out to some folks sitting here because some of you have subject matter expertise that we might want to tap into. So anyway, our requests are that we're going to go through the proper channels through the city, but we want to request permission to install a microchip station at the new public safety building. It'll be centrally located, easy to access. People can drive up. So we'll figure out, kind of if that can be done, and then hopefully we'll have an update on that soon. For the current facility, and until the new tech can be hired in July, we realize we're about 6, 7, 8 months out from that. We'd like to ask that public safety consider one of the two options that we have listed here. This would help us improve our standards and align more so with best practices and the ASPCA 5 freedoms. Number one, either add an officer to the rotation, not hiring someone, but just add someone or someones to the rotation for opening the shelter to volunteers during additional times, Friday evening through Sunday, so that the animals can get out, be walked, and have some outside time. Or, and I know this is a stretch, Mr. Zier, but create a hold harmless legal agreement with strict parameters between the city and FONA selected and city vetted volunteers to access the animal control facility during agreed upon times to allow for the animals to have relief from the kennels and walk outside. This would be if a public safety officer could not be present. So these requests are coming in written form later. We are also completing our review of the recommended red line changes submitted by the consultant that was hired in 2019 and plan to bring forward to the city those changes to existing ordinances or perhaps new ones that would enhance the standards and promote potential improvements for owner responsibility. Ms. Pat, we heard you. And best humane practices on our part who are taking care of the animals. And we plan to submit this over the next few days. We realize that Tyler has already submitted 3 requests for improvements, and we would like to request one more because, when you give us an inch, we're going to ask for a yard.
Mm-hmm.
So the next one is, we recommend replacing the back door on the current facility with one that has a window that would allow natural light into the room. Once that is done, the next step we would probably ask for is a timer on that light switch to allow those dogs to have some darkness. Because if I'm not mistaken, the lights are on 100% of the time.
100% fluorescent light 24/7.
Okay, all right. We're gonna also start bugging people. So through Councilman Freitas and probably Captain Hayes, We're going to start requesting some updates periodically on where we are. We have a list of action items that are for us, but also requests that we've made. And one final thing is this is for everybody, not just our leaders here, but we're hoping to have a website up and running at some point so that we can put more frequent updates out there, more timely updates, and perhaps get input from the community through that website. I'm not sure how that will work, maybe through an email inbox specific to that group, but much more to come. And thank y'all for putting this together, and we're looking forward to working to get it done.
Tyler, thank you for this. I will tell you, I guess I saw this a little earlier. I've had a chance to think through this. I think there's a few aspects of these that might be a little different than what you're asking, but I think we'll discuss it, but that can, I think, might surprise you with, I mean, I see some some possibilities here.
Great.
Maybe a little different take than what you're looking at, but I don't know if everything's doable, but that's something we will discuss and kind of come back with maybe a counter of let's consider this and see what it looks like.
Okay, sure.
But thank you. It's very good. Appreciate it.
All right, appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you, Tabitha. All right. Any other citizen comments? God. Okay. All right. Council. Go, Ms. Pat.
Go. Of course, this city knows how Pat Carpenter loves her sports. Riverview Park is my second home. But I was over there Saturday. We finished our last day of the wrecking crew, our basketball special needs. As I was coming through, Gym 1 was loaded, I mean loaded, with Pokemon card lovers. And I thought to myself, I went to the parking lot and just looked around. It was packed, even up by the tennis courts. And I said, North Augusta, thank you. Yes, we've got that wonderful Riverview Park, basketballs, the baseball, the tennis. And these children were coming in with their faces lit up to get a new Pokemon card. And I just thought North Augusta, not only are we sports, because a lot of times that's what we thought of, but for every walk that people love. They didn't love basketball. They loved their little Pokemon club.
Now, you're not going to say we're going to change our branding from South Carolina's Riverfront to South Carolina's Pokemon Town, are you? Yeah.
No, but I was just so happy. They might not like basketball, but they love
Pokemon. Yeah, that's good. All right, good.
Thank you, Rick Meyer.
All right. So a couple things. December 2nd, Christmas tree lighting. December 2nd. December the 5th, Christmas parade. Both that can all be found on the new app. You all have a phone. You need to download Explore North Augusta. We announced this app at the Jack-O-Lantern Jubilee. We had 45,000 hits on Explore North Augusta app. And the latest numbers, I think Carl shared this, but at the study session, 2-day attendance was 36,400 people. And what I thought was amazing, 2,300 of the people travel from over 50 miles. Okay, that was great. And then I'll tell you, and Chief, I think hopefully Jim, I don't know if Jim's giving it to you or not, but we had our Citizen Academy class graduation, and there were 9 folks, and I always have the honor to thank those citizens. But Lieutenant Billy Holtman and Public Safety Officer Mitch McBride, they took this program over this year. And Chief, I had one of our citizens, David Dugan, who took the course, sent me an email just talking about how meaningful it was for him, but specifically bragging on Mitch McBride. And from what Lieutenant Holtman said is Officer McBride has kind of taken the curriculum we've used for a lot of years and has really revamped it. They added an investigation piece where they got to actually investigate something. But it's just here's a younger public safety officer that does a lot of different things. This is another role he's been given, and he and Lieutenant Holtman are just like tearing it up. So, again, if you want to know more about the Citizens Academy, reach out on the Public Safety Facebook page. But it is phenomenal program that they do. Do we twice a year or once a year? Once a year. But I would highly recommend. So I just wanted to kind of brag on those folks. And really appreciate y'all's attendance, okay? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, real quick, next Sunday, or this Sunday coming, I'm sorry, we have pictures with Santa Paws at Animal House Screaming. All the money from that goes to benefit FONA. I'm not picky. If you got a snake, bring your snake. I'll take a picture with it. If you make a donation to our rescue, yeah. Exit 5 out in front of the Walmart. I think we're going 1 to 3, but if we've got a line, I'm not going anywhere. The slap will be available.
So basically, any donation gets any pet taken.
Right. I've been growing this beard 3 months. Don't let me down, y'all.
Goldfish or whatever, yeah.
Miss Cassandra that works down in Arts and Heritage will be there taking the photographs. You're going to get a good quality photograph. Right. You can go online and look at my time of the year this time last year and see some of the pictures. They're great pictures. Secondly, and I'll be real quick because I know we want to get out of here. After the meeting last Monday, Sandy Zanko, who comes to a lot of our meetings, actually went down to the brick pond and untangled a bird from fishing line and got that bird into wildlife rescue. We sit up here and we talk about how much we care about the brick ponds and how much we love our brick ponds and how important they are to our city. I don't know if we can do anything to recognize her actions because she could have got bit by an alligator. But I would like us as the council to just consider maybe making the brick ponds a preserve going forward in any adjacent green space. I mean,
I'm sorry, you didn't get the email on that. We already talked about no fishing. We're just waiting on the final conversation from Kelly to make sure there's no issue, but we've talked the storm water, we've talked the administration, so we hadn't got, you're one step ahead of me.
Sorry, I apologize.
But to answer your question, yes, we're all in agreement that it makes no sense.
No, I agree.
So we're
with you,
just
sir.
got to cross a few T's and make sure everything's good on that end. But yeah, I think that should be a no-brainer. So again, thank y'all for being here, and we stand adjourned.